My name is Paul Robin. I'm here at Tui Na UK at the Northern College of Acupuncture in York, and today we're going to do a Herbal Balm Course. And what we're going to do is study all the different herbs. Some herbs will move blood, some herbs will clear inflammation, other herbs will be anti-rheumatic, other herbs will strengthen bone structure. And we're going to study all these different types of herbs and learn how to make a basic cream that does everything, but the students can also make their own specific creams and ointments. And then we're going to discuss some different kinds of oils that we can use. And I brought my samples with me so that people can see what the real herbs are like. These balms, I use them for all kinds of orthopaedic conditions or traumatic injury, and they work as a treatment on their own. They absorb through the skin and bring the herbal medicine to the place where you want it to go. How to formulate the herbs, how to balance the herbs. The real key to being a herbalist is to balance the herbs. Some herbs are too drying, so you have to balance them with moisturising. Some are too cooling, so you have to strengthen the spleen. Some promote the blood flow too much, so you need to be careful if the person has bleeding. And others will stop bleeding, but you need to be careful if the person has a clotting disease. So we're understanding the basics of formulation in this course. Whereas with this, you work out the constitution, and then the formula is flexible and tailor-made to the patient and to the condition at the same time, and you modify it from a week-to-week basis. So it changes, so there's not really a side effect, because if anyone encounters a side effect, you modify the formula again. So every week, if you're seeing someone as a herbalist, you would modify the formula. It's a bad herbalist who actually gives the same thing all the time without checking. So that's the art, is to check the pulse, the face, the tongue, see them regularly, modify it accordingly, and then the herbs are safe and they work really well. Yeah, that is the Tui, which is the tender nourishing herb, or light stir fry with salt will conduct to the lower extremities.
Salt or sand? Put it in sand.
Yeah, well, no, they wok it with fine sand, just to bake it, to create a baking feeling, and then they spray salt solution on it. That's frankincense and that's myrrh. They're pretty much identical. They move chi, and because they move chi, they're very pain relieving, but they also help to promote blood movement because the chi leads to blood, and they're very good for bone clicking and joint clicking. They help to reduce that. And also they're good antacid, so for stomach ulcer. So in China they specifically grow them in areas which are specialised in growing certain types of herb. And also the herbs are detoxified as well. So you just see the herb here, but you don't see the process which they use to make the herb. So some of these herbs in their raw state might be poisonous, but then they might soak it in water, and then dry it, or soak it in wine, and then dry it, or do it several times, and so they detoxify the herbs, so they're not in a raw state.
When I've spoken to people about herbal medicine before and herbal studies before, it's been something where they've kind of gone, oh, you've got to learn, long lists, and it's just a really complicated thing. But I feel like we've actually done it in a very easily digestible kind of format. It's been a good way of opening the door.
It's made it real life, not just in a book, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly, because I was expecting, when you talk about herbs, it's like I'm going to open a book, and every time I've opened a book that I've got herbs in it, I only go in there when I really need it. I only just, I'd only go into the book when I really need it. Just because there's so much information, and it's taken a long time to get to where we are now, as it is. So opening a book, it's like, there's so much to do. So with this though, we can feel the herbs. We're running the herbs through our hands, and you can feel the different properties in the herbs in your hands. We've tasted some of them, and you can feel a difference. We've rubbed it into our skin. You can feel on your skin. You can see the difference between the herbs and their relationships, the colours, the fragrances. Everything has been really exciting for the senses, and yeah, about cooking it. So we just went through the whole process. We literally picked our herbs off the table, which is probably in China you'd pick it off a tree or something, you know, and it'll probably take you long, but this has already been prepared. We've picked the herbs, we've played around with them so that we can feel them and get to understand them. We've labelled them so we understand what they are, what they do, and we went through the process of making what we wanted, you know, to make some creams and some ointments and stuff, and it's just...
So here's the finished product.
Really amazing day, alchemist's dream. Can't wait to go home and start cooking.
Well, it feels to me kind of everything in a very kind of simple way, so it's been really a really good way of absorbing a large amount in a very kind of usable format, really, and also really appreciate the practical side, being able to see and make some topical applications, you know, stuff that we can actually take away and then actually make it ourselves and use it. So yeah, it's been a really good day, really useful, very interesting, very informative, and with a lot of kind of wider application, I think. A lot of concepts as well that you can just kind of potentially you can feel concepts bouncing off stuff that you already know. You know, deepening your, you know, what we already know about the way Chinese medicine works.
The course was really interesting. Such a wide selection of herbs, to be able to get this into such a small package for the day is fantastic. The amount of times people have talked about doing herbal medicine, and it's like, oh, herbal medicine is such a big thing to do, you know. So this has really been able to condense everything for us. We've had such a massive selection of herbs that I will quickly show you that we put together. So loads and loads of herbs that we've just been able to identify and understand in a very simple way, which has been really, really useful. And yeah, when I get home, I'm just going to have a go. I'm going to get a new pot. I'm going to experiment with them as well. I'm going to try everything out myself before I work with clients. And yeah, I can't wait to go. Just can't wait to go. It's brilliant.
I did study herbs at LCTA, and the way we're actually doing the herbs today is actually better than when we studied at LCTA. And the reason why is that when we did the herbs, we did the similar thing you did where you get the samples, but we studied the herbs in the individual categories. So one day yin tonics, next day yang tonics, next day move blood, next day something else. But what I see that we're doing today is that we're using the herbs within all of the categories together. So we're studying yin tonics, blood moving, qi moving together, almost that you're binding the formulas necessarily on the first day. The way we did it previously, we had to wait at least 4 or 5 months before we could start to put, because you don't select herbs solely from yin tonics. Yeah, so when you make a formula, you'd make a formula with some yin tonics, then you put some digestive herbs, and so the way we're doing it, I think, is a heck of a lot better than the way I studied. But that was maybe 15 years ago, so these are new and improved ways of studying herbs. Yeah. Also, one more thing that we didn't do in college is that we studied a lot of the pharmacopoeia, used Bensky and a lot of these other guys, but we never really covered external herbs. Yeah, so we covered it within the category, external herbs, but never really to make poultices, to make creams, herb balms, tinctures, and I think that if you're doing it, especially if you're a martial artist, this would have been #1 key to actually do, and we never got a chance to actually do it. Yeah, so this is, I think, pretty cool. Thank you, Paul.